Welcome to Madlit Musings, the podcast where we dive into the minds of authors, exploring the profound realms of faith, social issues, and the delightful world of entertainment. I'm your host, Jaime Jo Wright, and on this literary journey, you never quite know what you're going to get. Hey everyone, it is Jaime Jo Wright here at Madlit Musings, and today I have with me Betsy St. Amant to talk all things romance. Right?
Yes.
Sure. Well, welcome to the podcast. And as listeners know, this is kind of like sitting in a coffee shop and we just chit chat and kind of go wherever the wind blows. So it's totally unscripted. I don't send out questions beforehand and say, here, prepare your answers. So we just chat and people eavesdrop and it's fun.
Sounds great.
So I guess to start off, for anybody listening, introduce yourself, Betsy. Tell people who you are and help us get to know you a little bit.
Sure. Okay, so I'm Betsy St. Amant, remarried as Haddix.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to go like super Cajun correct pronunciation, Saint Amant is actually Sanamaw, which
Sanamaw.
nobody would get. And if I said it, people would be like, what? Do you know your own name? So we stick with Saint Amant because that's how it looks. But
Okay.
technically, Sanamaw.
Sanamaw. Now you said
Yep.
that was Cajun. So does that come from like where? Like what is that from? Louisiana?
South Louisiana. There's actually a Sanamaw, Louisiana down not too far from New Orleans.
Awesome. Okay, so that's the roots of your family heritage then, apparently.
That is actually the roots of my ex-husband's family heritage.
Oh, okay.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. Hey, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's probably what you were first published under, I'm guessing.
It was, and that's still my daughter's last name.
Gotcha.
So I completely still claim that and love that. Disassociated it from him, and that's my author name and my kid's name. So,
you know what?
And it looks great on a book cover.
I was gonna say it looks great, and a lot of authors have pen names that mean something or hangovers from something else, and
Yeah.
But Saint Amant. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so then what was your maiden name? Can I ask?
Macklemore.
You have such cool names in like your history.
Yes, there's a little bit of Irish blood somewhere far back with the Macklemore, but never really delved too far into that. So who knows? Maybe I'm related to some cool Irish knight or something.
Probably. It sounds very.
We'll find out.
Very debonair.
And it's MCLEMORE, not Macklemore like the rapper guy who's MAC, because people thought, are you related? I'm like, no, just no. Don't even try to connect those dots.
We're not. Oh, that's funny. And then your married name is Haddix. Yeah. And you're very happily married. I watch you on Facebook and your daughter's growing up and looks like you guys have a fun life. So, and you have 2 girls, right?
Yes, I have a bonus daughter, Addie. And so she is about to turn 14. And then my daughter, Audrey, is 16. Wow. So we're diving into driver's ed hours and part-time jobs and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not prepared for that. My daughter is 14 going on 15. And I was like, man, if I can just get through 13, I'll be good. And I lied to myself.
Yeah, you're not good.
No, I'm getting worse by the day.
Yeah. Right on schedule. You're doing great.
Yeah, I'm like, the mood swings, I was not prepared for those. The high school drama, not prepared for that. Boys are entering the equation. I mean, it's help.
Yeah.
Help.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Lots of prayer. Lots of new faith journey elements to be sure.
Absolutely. And so speaking of faith elements, you bring those into your books quite frequently. So how many books have you published now? And kind of give us a little background on that, because I'm sketchy on that.
So I probably should know the answer to this. It's over 25.
Right.
I think the 3 I have coming out next year, I don't know if that hits 30. I really should count. I will do that when I am no longer on this podcast with you. I will go count. But some of them are novellas and some of them are part of sets that are no longer available. So it's just kind of hard. It's not like a quick, let me just glance at my bookshelf kind of a thing. But I am actually getting ready to re-release some of those old novellas that aren't available anymore and put them out self-published and just kind of see how that
Yeah.
goes because I want them
Yeah.
to be accessible, mostly
Yeah.
so I can easily count.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, 25-ish, all romance. I've had one YA with Barber
Hmm.
many moons ago, um, probably 9 or 10 love-inspired novels,
Okay.
and then I've been with Zondervan, Sunrise, Barber, Kriegel, and most recently Waterbrook,
Yeah.
Multnomah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I knew you'd had quite a backlist of books because I think even when you and I met, you were already published and that sort of thing. So that's cool. So love inspired for readers. I wanted to give a little shout out there. So if you don't know what love inspired is, it's not like you're necessarily going to go into your Barnes and Noble and find a love inspired section there for the publisher. It's actually a lot of those little paperback novels that you find at like Walmart or they're part of a monthly book club published by Harlequin.
Mhm.
But the love inspired is the inspirational romance line. Am I correct?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and they have a suspense line too, romantic
Hmm.
suspense, which I have not written for that one, but those are really fun too. And my Barnes and Noble is actually really good about carrying them for me.
Oh, do they? Okay.
They actually have a whole category section of all the
Really?
Harlequin lines. So
Wow.
you can look at one shelf and it's inspirational and then look at the next shelf and it is definitely not inspirational romance.
It's
And they're just
inspirational in
all
a
sitting.
different sort of way, perhaps.
Yes, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Oh,
they
that's
keep them
cool.
all right there.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that because I had looked for some. I was at a Barnes and Noble. I don't know. We don't have any locally. Let's just put it that way. So the last
Oh,
time I was in a Barnes and Noble, I didn't see any there. And so
yeah.
I typically see them at Walmart or
Yeah.
little places
Walmart's a
like
big
that.
carrier.
Hmm.
I'm not sure where else, but yeah, them and they live on forever through ebook, which is really
Hmm.
nice.
Hmm.
And the book club catalog, orders and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do really well. They
Yeah.
just have a very short shelf life of
Right.
print book on the shelf, but the
Hmm.
books are available, forever.
And the libraries tend to stock them like
Yes.
crazy because people read them like hotcakes. In fact, here's a funny story for you, and then we'll move on because I ramble. But when my husband and I, pre children, would go fly fishing, I liked to fly fish too, but my version of fly fishing was let's go for an hour and then be done. And
Right.
his version of fly fishing was let's go for 12 hours
Oh my
and then get some food and go back. And I'm like, no, no. So I had to figure out a way to not die of boredom. And I would wear these waders so you could go in the water. And there was a chest pocket in the wader. And the love inspired books were the
God.
perfect size. They like slipped right in. So
That's
he
amazing.
laughs to this day on how many of those things I read while sitting on a creek bank in a pair of muddy waders while he was fly fishing.
I love that so much. See, they're missing a whole marketing niche there. Like
They are.
fits perfectly in your waiters. That
They
they need
do.
to get on that.
You
I
know,
will
that
let
would
my
be
editor
fun.
know.
You should do that, like all the creative ways people can fit these little books in
Yes,
little
that'd be
places.
a fun reel.
That would be really fun. And you just won when we're recording the podcast here, it's in September, and you just won a Carol Award for
Yes,
one of the Love Inspired. Like you're fresh off the win, so tell us a little bit about that. That was
yes,
fun.
it was just a few days ago, so I'm
Hmm.
still riding that high. It was the short novel category for the ACFW 2024 Carol Awards, and it was just so unexpected. I've tried to enter, or I have entered this contest probably 10 or 12 times over the
Okay.
years. You can only enter a book from the previous year.
Right.
So you're, kind of limited. So pretty much every year that I had a book out, I entered it. And I have never finaled until this year. So my first time to final was also my first time to win,
Oh
which
my
was
gosh.
wild. Yeah,
That's
it was so
crazy.
unexpected. And I was so nervous because the thought of going on stage and giving a little speech is just,
Hmm.
the worst. Um, which is so funny because I can teach all day long to a
Yeah.
crowded classroom. Like, I'm not afraid of speaking, but knowing that you're probably going to be emotional, there's going to be all the adrenaline, it just changes things. So I was so worked up about it. And then I just had this peace come over me like,
Mm,
you're not going to win. This is not going to apply to
sure.
you.
Yeah. So just
And I was like,
relax, enjoy the
yeah,
evening.
eat your cheesecake, you're fine. And I did. And the nerves didn't hit until right before my category was announced.
Okay.
Um, and then I just started trembling violently.
Yeah.
And then they actually announced my book, and everything was just a blur after that. I think I just kind of left my body and somehow
Yeah.
made it to the stage, and
Yeah.
it was really, really special. It was such a blessing for
That's
sure.
so cool. I was excited. I was at home and I had my husband and I were actually watching the movie. And I remembered that the Carol Awards were being announced. And so I pulled up the live feed on my phone and,
Oh, good.
they does the little closed captioning, which was great. And so your category came up and I was like, oh gosh, I really want Betsy to win. Like I always want everyone to win.
Right.
But I was kind of like, she just like, she needs this win. She needs this. And all of a sudden it was like, you won. And I'm like, ah! And my husband's like, what? And I'm like, nothing, nothing. It's good.
Oh, thank
Mm,
you. I love that. And a fun behind the scenes little tidbit.
yeah.
Um, that closed caption thing was
Mhm.
actually like an accident or not planned. There was something that went wrong right before with all of the sound and text stuff, and
Okay.
they had to rig things a totally different last minute way that stressed everyone out on staff. But somehow the way that they got it rigged, the closed caption just was there, and they're like, "Ah, cool,
That was
bonus."
because it was a huge bonus. Because
Oh,
there's a lot of
good.
times you can't watch the virtual things because you're in the middle of something. I mean, there's usually a reason you can't make it to the conference,
Right.
and that's usually because you're busy. And I'm always wanting to just like stare down at my phone and just read. And I could this year. I was like, yes,
Yeah,
this is
perfect.
epic. So
So yes,
congratulations on your Carol Award.
thank you.
That's
Thank
super
you.
cool. So, but you also have some new stuff in the works, and I know they just went up for
Do.
pre-order. So let's chat about this Magnolia Bay series that have really fun covers, by the way.
Oh my gosh, the covers give me life. They are so much fun. Sunrise Publishers, they hired someone to actually hand draw them, which was kind of a new direction for their art department.
That's
And
cool.
they are just so whimsical and
Hmm.
delightful. I can't pick a favorite. Every time I look at them, I'm like, I think I like
Yeah.
this one. Nope, I like this one. Nope, I like all of them equally.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the first one comes out in February. It's called Where I Found You,
Okay.
and it's so book one
Hmm.
of Magnolia Bay. And it's kind of funny because when I first pitched this series, um, I had titled it Magnolia Marsh
Okay.
because I thought alliteration,
Right.
awesome. But my editor at Sunrise said, you know, when you don't live in the South, um, marsh kind of has like kind of a negative connotation almost, like more unappealing, swampy, not
Hmm.
aesthetic Louisiana,
This is true.
southern
Because
swampy, you
marshes in
know?
Wisconsin are you're
Yeah.
really putting on waders to get through because they're
Yeah, and that
mucky.
was not the vibe. So she said, "What about Magnolia Bay?" And
There you
this is
go.
a bay town, and I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yes, that's perfect." So immediately loved that. It fit perfectly.
Hmm.
I just had to let the alliteration go, which is fine. I'm fine.
It's okay. You all right?
Um,
You can be okay.
yes, I
Okay.
think I will be.
All right.
More coffee might be
I was
needed,
just gonna
but
say I've
past
got
that,
coffee if you need.
yeah. So yeah, so book two, they're gonna rapid release. So we've got a February, a May, and then I think August release
Okay.
for the three books.
Okay.
So you have plenty of time to get hooked and get caught up and get them all three. Pre-order right
Hmm.
now on Kindle, and then of course
Okay.
paperback a little bit closer to time.
Okay. Now, I know with Sunrise Publishing, a lot of times they do like team writing. Is this a team writing thing where you've helped another author write, or is this solely you?
This is just me. So when Susie Warren, when she
Hmm.
contracted these, she was starting a new stream for
Okay.
Sunrise away from the lead author thing. That's still very much in effect and
Hmm.
awesome. This is just kind of a new venture that I think they're
Okay.
going to look at doing other genres with in the
Hmm.
future.
Hmm.
But they're just really growing. And so she's already got even more streams going on with group sets since
Wow.
bringing me on. So
Sure.
there's a lot happening at Sunrise. Very exciting. They're such a great, they're such a great team. I'm really glad
Yeah.
to be a part of it.
Yeah. That's super
Um,
cool.
and then, yeah, so completely forgot what I was about to say.
Oh, that's okay. Because we were
Something
talking,
else
I was
about
asking
Sunrise.
if they were like if solely written by you or if they
Yes.
were team written. So,
Yes, it is all me, and Susie Warren is my editor on
hmm.
these, and she has taught me so much. Um, just craft wise, I feel like I've gone to the next level, and I'm just
That's
really
awesome.
excited to see how these play out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about Magnolia Bay, since we know it's not a mucky Wisconsin marsh with cattails.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the setting and the series and what we have to look forward to.
It's so much fun. I've had a blast writing these and rewriting these. So basically, Magnolia Bay is, think of it as a coastal town off the coast of Louisiana. So New
Okay.
Orleans is an
Hmm.
hour north. That's how
Okay.
south we're getting here.
Wow,
Yeah.
you're taking us deep south.
Yes. And there's a
Okay.
beautiful bay with, a lot of fishing. It's very beachy, not sandy beaches, but just Louisiana Bay
Yeah.
beach. Um, there's crawfish, there's beignets, there's one of the characters has a beignet shop, so a lot of stuff goes on there.
Okay, I
There's
have
the
to stop you. I'm
oh yes.
sorry. What's a beignet?
Oh no. Well, we can no longer be friends.
I am such a northern Wisconsin north. I'm sure I've probably
You
seen
are.
them, and then the word is familiar, but I have to stop you and ask what it is.
Okay, so it's spelled Beignet because in the South we make everything way harder than it needs to
I was
be.
just gonna say you just
Yeah.
complicated things.
So
Okay.
have you heard of a elephant ear or funnel cake?
Yes.
Okay, it's very similar. It's just a powdered pastry. So like a little
Oh, okay.
square rectangular
Yeah.
pastry. And then they put a ton of powdered sugar on top.
Ooh, I
So
like
when
it
you eat
already.
them, you can neither inhale nor exhale, or it is a problem. Like that's the first rule of beignet is don't breathe at all
That's
because you
funny.
will snort the powder or you will blow the powder on everyone around you. And they pair really well with chicory coffee, which is what New Orleans does at Cafe du Monde.
Okay.
Um, it's just the best dessert in the South ever. So
Okay.
one of my characters has her own beignet shop.
Okay.
That comes into play in one of the plots. And then there's Magnolia Blossom Diner, where
Mm.
we have another character that runs the diner, has all of her Cajun recipes. There's a coffee shop called, of course, called Chug-a-Mug, which
Oh,
I'm
I
really
love
excited about.
that. That's a
Yeah,
fun
Chug-a-Mug.
name.
And a really fun twist is that the young college-aged barista that works Chug-a-Mug,
Okay.
the coffee is only as good as her mood. So the townspeople always have to check each other for a weather report
Oh,
before they go order their
funny.
coffee. And it's the opposite of what you would think. If she's in a bad mood, the coffee's amazing.
I was gonna say it's probably really dark and
Yeah, it's
just
so good. But if
delicious. Yeah.
she's happy, don't even go in. Like just don't even order. It's not going to be edible. Just go get a donut or something. Yeah. So
That's
that's really fun.
hilarious. I love
That's really
that.
fun.
And
Yeah.
does she know that they're doing these weather reports, or is that something kind of like
No.
the whispered,
Yeah.
behind her back a
It's a
little bit?
it's a behind the scenes thing.
That's so
Yes.
cool.
Yep. And then trying to think what else. There's a dance studio. There's a church that everyone goes to, a bank, just the, typical small
Yeah.
town type encounters. And my heroes in all three books are friends, and there's another guy who might show up in a future connected series. We'll see. But
Okay.
they all get together and go fishing. So, pretty much in every book, you'll have at least one scene where they're fishing together and just guy talk,
Hmm.
having their bonding. Um, and that's been one of my favorites. I feel like this series is really a little more hero heavy,
Okay.
just on the emphasis. Like
Yeah.
it's equal page time,
Hmm.
alternating hero heroine point of view.
Hmm.
But the guys in this series, I feel like, are just very rich, and
Mm.
I love their friendships, and they're all very different from each other, and it's just been really fun to get in their heads.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always tricky to write the hero and the point of view. And I actually don't write hero points of view in my books.
That's right,
Um,
you don't.
no, I don't. And when I first submitted The House on Foster Hill, which was my first split time, I actually had
Hmm.
4 points of view. I had the two heroines, and then I had the two heroes. Um,
Oh yeah.
and the editors thought, well, that's a lot of points of view. Maybe we need to cut it back, which was fine. But I'm always intrigued by how writers write the hero's point of view and make sure that the hero isn't stagnant, like the same each
Well,
time.
it's interesting you say that because I'm a weirdo, and the guy's point of view has always come easier for me
Okay,
than my women. And I
interesting.
think it's because I've thought about this. I was just talking about this with a friend at the conference this past weekend. I think it's because when I'm writing a woman, I'm trying so hard to not make it me and not put my voice into it and make her
Oh.
unique and different from me.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a guy, I'm just completely just, diving in. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing for me to have to like hold back or monitor or filter,
Right. Right.
because I'm just not a guy. So it just seems like that comes easier. Plus, the whole joke about he was written by a woman, like we
Yeah.
can write the men really well to do what we want them to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's why we call them heroes, because they're what we all want on the page.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it's been really fun to write my
Uh-huh.
heroes. I've just really enjoyed them,
That's
this
awesome.
particular series.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so you really have kind of like a small, deep South Louisiana vibe going on, small town.
Hmm.
And then all these different community characters that we're going to get to know. And then
Yes.
interspersed with that, then I'm assuming is a romance.
Yes. So each
Okay.
book will have its main hero heroine and their romance,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next book will have a lot of cameos.
Okay.
It's very interconnected.
Okay.
Um, they're set usually about 2-ish months apart.
Okay.
So book two starts a few months after where book one left off. And because they're all such good friends, they're just in all of them are in all the books.
Okay.
So if you really connected with one of the couples, you'll see them again a lot
Yeah.
throughout the whole
Yeah.
series, which I think is really fun. I enjoy reading that kind of series,
Mm-hmm.
so this was nice to write one. So yeah, so you got romance. Book one, you've got a treasure hunt. You have to follow the clues left behind from the hero's recently deceased grandfather, who left clues in his will for him to go find the rest of his inheritance.
Oh, that's cool. I love
Very,
that.
very quirky grandfather. He was
Mm-hmm.
in the Puzzlers Club. He loved puzzles and
Ooh.
riddles, and
Okay.
um, he left all that behind for my hero to follow and figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. But the
Mm-hmm.
twist was he only got half the clues. The other half, ensuring they would work together, went to my heroine, who was a long-standing family enemy. It was the Montagues and Capulets,
Oh
and
my.
so
Okay.
there's a lot of bad blood there that they have to work through and try to figure out the truth for.
That's so interesting. Oh, that's super fun. So you do have kind of like a little mysterious element, I
A
guess,
little bit,
added
yeah,
into
just
the
a little bit,
romance. Mhm. That's super
yeah.
fun. I love that.
But I love my side characters too, like the barista with the mood swings,
Yeah.
and there's Mama D is
Mm.
Delia. Mama
Hmm.
D is just the town mama, and she's a pretty big role in book one, but she
Okay.
she comes around throughout the rest of the series, and
That's
she's kind
fun.
of the voice of reason, and um, the older woman who can be snarky and say what she wants to say, and nobody
Right.
gets offended. We all need one of those in our life. We all
We
need a Mama
do. We
D.
do. That's my goal in life, is to become that person someday.
Yes. Perfect. You will be so great at that. I love it.
Well, there definitely won't be a filter. And a couple cats to go along with it, I'm sure. It'll be like the like crazy unfiltered old lady that
That's
has
perfect.
cats and maybe isn't as wise as everybody thinks she is.
But when you say it with confidence, like they'll believe
Right.
you.
Right.
Just have
People
to
do.
own it.
They do. They do. I love that. I love that. So you have personal roots in Louisiana though, right? Because you live in Louisiana. So you're not just like me
I
trying to
do.
write a book about Louisiana.
Yes, I am born and raised. Now, I am in North Louisiana, so it
Okay.
is a little bit of a different world up here compared to like New Orleans,
Sure.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
But I've lived here my whole life, a whole 21 years, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally 21
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
16-year-old. That math checks out.
Totally.
Um, so Shreveport is where I am in North Louisiana,
Hmm.
and we're almost more like East Texas than we are Louisiana when it comes to
Okay.
like culture and atmosphere and stuff.
Okay.
You can find a few fleur-de-lis floating around different
Hmm.
places, but past that, there's no gators in our backyards.
Okay.
Um, it's just very much kind of
Yeah.
Texas vibes. But you go just even halfway down the state, and you start getting into Opelousas and Baton Rouge, and then New Orleans and Lafayette and all those places.
Okay.
That's where the culture really, really pops, and
Yeah.
Mardi Gras and all that stuff. Um, but I've been down south enough and traveled, and um, I was actually proposed to by my ex
Hmm.
many moons ago. Oops, I dropped my earbud. Many moons ago, We were in New Orleans on a family trip with my family, and he
Okay.
proposed on one of the steamboats on the
Oh,
Natchez River. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was that was a nice experience, you know, just
Yeah.
being on the riverboat and everything. So there's just some really cool stuff down there. And
Hmm.
there was one scene, this is really funny. There was one scene in book one where my characters go into New Orleans to shop around for some stuff that they need.
Okay.
And oh no, I'm sorry, book two. It's book two. You'll have to wait until May.
That's okay.
Um, book two, they go to New Orleans and they're in Jackson Square,
Okay.
which, if you've been, you're familiar with Jackson Square. It's where the big church is, and
Hmm.
just like all the stuff is right in that main section. And I've been there a million times, but they're standing on the like steps in front of that big church. And I could not for the life of me remember, what is the door made of? Is it wood? Is it like, I just needed to
Oh,
describe
funny.
the
Yeah.
door,
Yeah.
and I got so hung up for like 30 minutes,
That's funny.
Googling, trying to find pictures. I couldn't quite find. So I finally just called the church and I was like, hi, this is going to be weird. And this woman answers. She's got the accent, you know, the
Yeah.
Cajun accent, older woman. And she was, I said, I'm an author. I'm in Shreveport and I'm writing a story, and this church is in the story. And I just really need to know what the front door is made of. And there's just this long pause. Like, I'm starting to think she hung up on me. And then she goes, well, I'm not sure either. Hold on. And she puts me on hold and she goes to check.
Oh my goodness.
He comes back and she's all out of breath and she's like, okay, it's wood. I thought it was wood. It's wood. And she was so
Oh,
proud of herself. And I
so
was like,
funny.
thank you so much. So, yeah, you just, you know, with
Yeah.
authors, you never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to have to call and find out. I've
Right.
called the Gumbo Shop before,
Okay.
which is also in New Orleans,
Hmm.
Jackson Square. Um, and asked about one of their like menu items or something that I couldn't
Hmm.
find online.
Oh, that's so
It's just
funny.
funny. But usually people are really happy to help. They think it's
Yeah.
cool, you know,
Yeah.
to like help you research. Um, One of my very first love inspired novels, I think it was my first love inspired novel. It's called Return to Love, and it was set in New Orleans at the aquarium.
Okay.
And since that was a real place, I had to get it right. And
Yeah.
so I actually emailed a bunch back then with the penguin keeper at the aquarium. That was his job, was penguin keeper. And
Oh
I
my
put some of the
gosh.
real names of the current penguins in the book.
Oh, I love that.
And they told me kind of their process of how they
Yeah.
feed them and what the uniforms look like, and, you know,
Sure.
all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
It was fun.
That
So,
is really cool. That's really cool. And we've kind of gone past the days where we even email or call. Like now we just Google and assume that all the information's correct. So
right?
it's kind of funny that, you call somebody and you ask them what their door's made of, and you realize how such an everyday part of your life you just don't notice. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's wood. Is it wood?
right?
I don't know.
She started doubting everything she'd ever known.
Right. Exactly. Oh my
So, yes.
gosh. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So if people want to get ahead and get these books pre-ordered, where's the best way to do that? And what's the best way to follow you and learn about your backlist and find out more about Betsy?
Yeah. So my website is a great place for anything about me. It's just betsysaintamont.com.
Okay.
There's no period after Saint. It's just
Yep.
betsysaintamont.com. And you can join my newsletter there. And right now I've been on so many deadlines. I was sending a newsletter every 2 months.
Hmm.
And now it's gotten a little bit more like 3 or 4 months. But you will get one eventually, and they're
Yeah.
really fun. I try to do a lot with those and giveaways
Yeah.
and all the good stuff. So you can join the newsletter,
Okay.
and that's a good way to get sneak peeks and behind the scenes kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
I always try to give my newsletter subscribers like first glimpse at cover reveals
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Hmm.
And then for the pre-orders, you can go to Amazon is probably the
Okay.
easiest for Kindle pre-orders, or you can go to the Sunrise Publishers website,
Hmm.
and they have a whole page featuring Magnolia Bay, and you can jump on that. And yeah, I think they're at Barnes and Noble and other like major
Okay.
retailers for ebooks. And I don't know when the date for pre-orders on print will be, but
Yeah.
I will keep everyone posted for
Yeah.
sure, because that's my favorite. I love print
As a
books.
print. I love
I'm just
print
not a
books
big
too.
e-reader yet.
I do. I have my e-reader. I have my Paperwhite, and I actually use it a lot, but it's not my preferred. I prefer to just
Mm,
sit and read
Yeah.
the paperback and hold it and stick my nose in the
Yes.
print and smell the ink and okay, I'm weird.
Well, no, that's so relatable. And there's something so satisfactory about collecting like your favorite author's
Mhm.
books in print and putting them on
Mhm.
a shelf, like all in order.
Yeah.
I actually do that with your books. I love
Aw.
keeping your books. And if anyone borrows one, I'm like a dog. I'm like, where's my book? Bring it back. Bring it back. That's my book. That is my book. But it usually works out because with your books, you do pre-orders, or
Mhm.
it seems like your pre-orders come up like really early,
Mhm.
and I always get one, and then I forget that I pre-ordered.
Oh.
So I always end up with two, which is why I do give away so many times because I'm
Yeah.
not giving away mine, but I'm giving away the one I oops bought.
The
So
one oops, but I've done that with so many authors,
yeah,
and I never have the heart to cancel it once I've seen that I've oops bought it. I'm like, "Oh, well, guess we're doing a giveaway."
yes, support authors.
Yes,
So
exactly.
speaking of your books, I have to tell you this funny thing
Okay.
really quick. It was so hilarious this morning. I just
Okay.
finished reading like a week ago, Predicament Avenue,
Yeah, Night Falls on Predicament Avenue.
Night
Mhm.
Falls on Predicament
Mhm.
Avenue. And it was good. It was creepy, of course.
Sure.
All the good things. Read with your back against a wall. So that's still like lingering on the edges of my mind, right?
Okay.
And then um, I had posted a bunch of conference announcements on my Facebook page, which
Right.
they didn't go viral, but for me, it was a lot of traction. So
Sure.
you start getting the spam accounts. You start getting
Mm.
the foreign men who are like, hello, and
Mhm.
all the messenger attempts and stuff.
Yep.
So I've been deleting and blocking. Well, this morning I'm getting dressed to do this podcast,
Mhm.
and I start getting multiple phone calls from this foreign name. I think the first name was like Ibra, something very unusual. And it was very obviously some kind of spam or attempt from
Right.
Facebook calling me
Right.
through Messenger. I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh my
So
gosh.
so I hang up and I'm like, how do you block this? Before I can figure out how to block it, he calls again 4 times.
Oh my
I
goodness.
finally figure out how to block it and I'm like, this is really weird. And then I'm standing beside my bed near my charger and I hear something is scratching at my window, 2-story window.
Ah,
So now I'm really freaked out.
my
Like, it's Ibra.
gosh.
Ibra's on a ladder. This is how it ends.
This is how it ends. Yeah, exactly.
I'm freaking out. So I'm like, I don't want to look. I know it's probably a bird, but like, what
Mhm.
if it's not? So remember, I'm getting dressed. So I'm not fully dressed in the
Right.
moment. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to fight in this current state
Yeah.
of lack of apparel.
Mhm.
So I need to get dressed. So I'm trying to get dressed. Then I hear a noise in the hallway
No.
outside my door. So I lock my door. Me and my dog at this point are just looking at each other like, you go check. No, you go check.
Right. Thanks,
And
dog.
my teenager's home, but she was asleep. So I'm like, surely that was her. She got up and I just.
Yeah.
So I'm like blowing up her phone, texting her, please tell me you're awake. Be awake. Be awake. That was you, right? You're awake. Well, she's not answering. So I'm like, oh no. So we have a security system
Okay. Yep. Mhm.
and I can look at it through my phone. And I looked at
Mhm.
the front door and I could tell on my app the front door was not locked. And
Mm.
I'm like, this is even better. So now Ibra's in my house, obviously,
Right. Right.
upstairs. Um, so finally, my daughter, picks up her phone. She's like, yeah, I just walked down the hall. It was me. And I'm like, okay, I don't have to fight anyone half naked. This is great. This is good news. And so I finally like get the courage to like leave my room with my dog. We go downstairs, we lock the front door, and I block literally everyone I've ever known on Facebook. And like,
Oh,
we're done
right.
here.
Mhm.
Like,
I'm
this is
done.
over. But I kind of blame you just indirectly because if I
Okay.
wasn't just permanently on edge from reading your amazing stories, like this kind of stuff wouldn't really affect me the same way. So next time you're
It
writing, just
it's
remember this.
I will remember that. I'll have to write a character who has a security system, and when she looks to see the front doors open just a little bit.
Oh my gosh, that's even worse. Yes. Yes. Thank you for the full body chills. That was
Hey, no
great.
problem, no problem. I actually thought that's what you were gonna say. Like, my brain was going full on Criminal Minds with this story, and like,
Yeah.
and the door was partially open as a shadow
Uh,
was creeping along the floor.
oh no. There were so many shadows in my mind. Trust me.
I was writing a scene last night, and we can close with this, but I was writing a scene last night for my next book that's due, and it was so creepy, and I'm just like, "Ah, this is delicious. This is delicious." And then I get like 3/4 of the way through, and I'm like, but I was just writing this to introduce the hero.
Oh no.
So all of a sudden I have this deliciously creepy scene and the hero
Oh
needs to
no.
make an entrance. And I'm like, oh, that works. Because then people get really creeped out and then realize, oh, it really was nothing. Because that's how it is in every day, right? You know, you think
Right. Oh yeah.
you're going to die. It's over. Life is ended. And this is
Yeah.
how it's going to
Yeah.
be. And then you turn around, it's your cat or it's your
Yeah.
dog or it's your husband.
Your
And you're like,
teenager.
yeah, you're like, oh, that was
Not.
anticlimactic.
It's not
Right.
Ibra, thankfully.
Right. No. So now we know what name to randomly send you.
Oh no.
Nobody be mean to Betsy. Everybody be nice. Make sure that you introduce yourself when you send her an email.
Just a girl.
Oh, fun. Oh, fun. Well, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And we look forward to the Magnolia Bay series. And if anybody doesn't want to wait until February, you can look up all of Betsy's backlist. And libraries have them. And they're on Amazon and all kinds of places. So.
Yes, do that.
All right. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you. This was fun.
Thank you for joining Madlit Musings, where every conversation is a journey and every book is a new adventure. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast player or check us out on YouTube, and let's explore the fascinating intersection of faith, society, and storytelling together.